Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 8 video lessons. It's me, your instructor Zia Ahmed. I hope that you're doing well. Students, let's cover yet another SLO of unit number 6. The title is The Most Beautiful Flower. I hope that you have read this poem and understood it. So now it's time for our oral communication and oral competency. Today we are going to see rhetorical questions. How we can use rhetorical questions in our daily life, in conversations, and in other scenarios. Now let's read our students' learning outcome. It says, develop the ability to pose rhetorical questions for a range of audiences. Yes, we are going to put forward or pose or ask rhetorical questions for a range of audiences. Yes, this is a kind of a question, but they are called rhetorical questions. Let's see what they are. But first, I would like to introduce you with the vertical linkage of this SLO with the previous grades SLO that you already covered it. Now, for the brainstorming, now think about it. Are questions always meant to be given answers, or are questions always require answer? What do you think about it? Yes. No. Every question is not posed to get a possible answer. We are going to see them, and they are called rhetorical questions. Can you say the word rhetorical? Good. Now, if you see it in the book, rhetorical questions, they are questions that are asked for effect or importance, but are not meant to be answered directly. Yes, we ask these questions for having an effect on the listener and also to emphasize importance of something. That's why we use this technique, or you can call it a literary device also, or a communicative device. Now, they are used to engage the audience because you are speaking, it is related to your oral communication, and that's why your audience are the listeners. So you want to engage the listeners or the audience, incite thought, or make a point. When you want to prove your point or when you want to convey a thought, that's when we use our rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions often have obvious or indirect answers, and they are designed to create impact or effect or make a persuasive argument. Persuasive means to convince somebody. Now, they can be used in various forms of communication. You can use them in speeches, writing, and also in your discussions to arouse critical thinking and engage the audience attention. So, the main purpose is to rise or to raise the critical thinking of your listeners. You want to make your point, you want to have an effect, and also show significance or importance of something. That's why we use rhetorical questions. So I hope that the usage is very much clear now. Students, let's see. Here are some rhetorical questions. First, let us see that a rhetorical question is a question that does not need to be answered. Yes, there will be a question, but there will be no answer. For example, can we really say that we understand history if we don't learn from it? Now, imagine that your audience is listening to you and you're saying and you're emphasizing the importance of understanding history and learning from history. So instead of saying that we need to understand history and learn from it, you can just pose it like a rhetorical question. You can say, can we really say that we understand history if we don't learn from it? You do not want any answer from the audience because the answer is implied in the question itself. And next example is it not our responsibility to help those in need? Yes, it is our responsibility. but you don't want the listener to answer it, because the listeners are already engaged in your speech and they know that it is our responsibility to help those in need. But when you are posing it like a question, it shows that it is very important and the answer lies in the question itself. You can find the answer in the question. Sometimes it is needed to be thinking, it needs to be uh, searched for, or otherwise you can find it clearly in the question itself. So these kind of questions, they are rhetorical questions to engage your audience or your listeners. Yes, for number one, we know that we cannot say we understand history if we are not learning from it. It means that we need to learn from history, then we can say that we understood it, or it is our responsibility to help people, to help those who are in need. So it means that these questions are not asked for an answer, but the answer is in itself and it is for showing effect and impact. Let's look at this very common example that you can use in your daily life. Isn't it a beautiful day? For example, if you are with a friend and sitting outside, it's a beautiful day, the cool breeze is blowing and everything is so good. So you will say, isn't it a beautiful day? It means it is a beautiful day. We use to express appreciation for the weather rather than seeking confirmation. It means you are not seeking confirmation or any kind of answer. Rather, it is implied. Yes, it is a beautiful day. It's a way to engage someone in a positive conversation. Isn't it amazing? Yes, it is amazing. So these kind of questions are not, you don't want and don't wait for any answer because they are implied. Now, can we use rhetorical questions in speeches? Yes, they are used by politicians, by public speakers, and different orators all over the world. Now, let's see. So, if you hear this in a speech, that how can we stand by and do nothing when so much is at stake? How can we do it? We can definitely not stand by and do nothing. It means we have to do something because something is at stake. It is very important and necessary. It is like an emergency. So if the speaker poses this question, the audience does not require to give an answer. Another example is, what kind of world do we want to leave for our children? It means that we need to leave a good world, a better world for our children. So this will let the listeners, the audience, think about it. What are we doing wrong? We need to do right thing for our children and we want to make the world better. What will history say about us if we fail to act now? No, you don't need to say that history will say this or that. You can just listen to it and think about it. You don't give any answer. The only answer you can give is by your understanding only. Now, why do we use rhetorical questions? Sometimes we use rhetorical questions just letting somebody or getting someone to do something. It is a very good technique of motivating somebody to do something. For example, if a mother says or somebody else says, "Don't you want to help your mother?" The son or the daughter does not need to answer yes or no. It just simply means you just come and help. So the message is implied in the rhetorical question. They are asked for importance and for getting somebody to do something. You don't wait for the audience or the listener to say yes or even no. So that's the whole purpose of rhetorical questions. For example, how can we differentiate normal questions that are require answering with rhetorical questions that do not have any answer? We need the ability to differentiate between these kind of questions. So let's see. If you are not sure about a question, whether it is rhetorical or not, you will think, does the person asking the question really want to know something or any new information from me? If not, then you will not answer it and you will think that this is a rhetorical question. If the person does not need an answer, depending on the situation, then you can say, yes, it is a rhetorical question. If the answer is no, it is probably a rhetorical question. So if there is no answer for this question, then you can call it a rhetorical question simply. You will see that the person really needs something from me, any information or any kind of answer. If no, then it is a rhetorical question. I hope that you will remember this, and now we can easily differentiate between all these questions. Yes, all of them are questions, but you have to find them which one of them is a rhetorical question. Let's see. Don't you ever think about anyone else? Is it a rhetorical question? No. Don't you want any cake? This is not a rhetorical question. Are you tired? It can be answered yes or no. So it means this is not a rhetorical question. Are you interested in having more time to relax? This is also not a rhetorical question. Are you expecting visitors? Do you want your children to live in poverty? Now this one is a rhetorical question because no one wants their children to live in poverty. This is just to to put emphasis on the situation. When will this madness end? Yes, this is a rhetorical question. When are you going to school? It's not. If we don't stop now, what will be next? Now, this is also a rhetorical question. So, if you just revisit these questions again, you will see that you don't want to answer it. It means automatically this is a rhetorical question, like, do you want your children to live in poverty? If I ask you this, you will think about it and you will not say yes or no, because obviously you don't want it. So it means that this is a rhetorical question. So I hope that now you can easily recognize a rhetorical question from a normal question. Now, for the classroom activity students, since we are talking about oral competency, you are going to collect some short text from various sources, and you have to work in small groups. You will be given different text. You read the text carefully, and each group will share the text they are analyzed along with rhetorical questions they ask. So you will read something, and when you want to discuss it, the text that you are given, then you will pose rhetorical question. Isn't it just an amazing story? Or you can say, you like it, don't you? So these are all rhetorical questions. Here you can watch this simulation link to understand more about rhetorical questions, why they are posed, and how you can work with them. For your homework, students, you have to choose a topic you are passionate about or interested in. Then you identify your audience and give a speech. You have to write at least 5 rhetorical questions related to your chosen topic. For example, if you chose the topic climate change, now you can pose a question like, don't we want our world to be a better place for us? Or can you say, don't we want to have a better weather conditions? It means that these are rhetorical questions. Yes, we do want all of these things, but they are not meant to be answered. So you can pose all these different 5 rhetorical questions based on the topic. You can solve this worksheet where you have to underline and identify rhetorical questions with normal questions. And at the end, you can find the presentation, a lesson plan, and also a worksheet that I just shown you. You can get them and practice your skill and ability to pose rhetorical questions. Or you can say, one last example that I would like to give you. If your teacher says, can you be quiet? Can the class be quiet for a moment? You don't have to say yes or no. It means just stop doing the noise and just be quiet. So this is also an example of a rhetorical question. You can discuss it with your teacher and your fellows and point out as many rhetorical questions as you can. Thank you so much, students. I hope that you have understood the SLO. I'll meet you in the next video lesson. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.